I'm not even mad. I play all the games. I play all the games. We don't need backup goaltender. Huh? I say this beginning of season. I am Bubba Brewski. Huh? The great and only Bubba. Just, I play all the games, okay? Hey, Spencer! Where you going? Hey, come back, kid. I miss you. Come on. Hey, come on. Come talk to Uncle Bubba. You ready? Here we go. He did it. I don't believe it.
Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go! Go!
Puck drop. And 3, 2, 1.
Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go! Go!
All right, Panther fans. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Do we have our work cut out for us tonight? Sabres, Panthers. Yes, Sabres have played a couple of games while the Panthers have had a couple of days off while somebody's upstairs running water. Yes, that's the truth. However, no Barkov, no Bennett. Giovanni Smith got put on LTIR for the puck that he took to the face. He's probably at least 3 weeks away from being able to be back out on the ice. And we all know the news about Spencer Knight. Once again, wishing him well. Hopefully, this is a short-term, short-lived thing, and by the beginning of next season, he can come back strong and be the guy that we need him to be, the guy that we need, that we expect him to be. All right. In terms of tonight, you're going to have Anton Lundell with Anthony Duclair and Sam Reinhart as the top line. Time to put your big boy pants on, Lundell. I haven't been exactly thrilled with your play so far this season. Still say you need to get into the gym during the off season, but boy, if you ever wanted to prove your worth, tonight would be the night, okay? Because we are down our top 2 centers, and we know Eric Stahl was going to be a game-time decision. He's not going to be 100%. So Lundell, Luosterainen, Colin White, we are going to need games, and also Danisenko and Zach Dalpe draws back in and up. Now, Dalpe was playing pretty well for us, and then he got concussed. So maybe we can get a spark, all right? We get Duke back, we're going to have the energy of Anthony Duclair back up there. We're going to need him, all right? I mean, without Barkov Bennett, we definitely going to be inserting Anthony Duclair right there in the power play. Just feed him pucks. Just give Anthony Duclair about 65 minutes worth of ice time tonight. He's fresh. You know he's got fresh legs. Absolutely must. 2 points in regulation tonight. There can't be any excuses about Barkov this, Bennett this. Kapui. The Sabres played last night against the Lightning. They went to overtime. They beat them. Absolutely have to take this game. Had to take it to them early. We got fresh legs on the ice. I don't care what the names on the back of the jerseys are. Panthers need 2 in regulation. Give me 5-3, Panthers. Gimme. Alright, so there's no score after 1. It definitely does not look like they played last night, and we did not. They definitely have their legs, and we look like a disorganized, dysfunctional mess of a team that hasn't played in 3 days and is missing its top 2 centers. Which kind of makes sense. We had a power play. We looked bad. Duke was on the second power play. Duke looks halfway decent, but they're doing things a little bit backwards. On the power play, Duke was in the corner battling for the puck, winning the battle, and getting it out to an open Kachuk in the circle. It's very confusing. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm just going to continue to bitch until we win this game. Now you know me. Y'all know me. I'm not one to overreact. But remember those couple of games we played last week or the week before when we were on the road and we looked exhausted and we were getting our ass kicked and we were getting beat to every puck and we looked really, really slow and we said, They've been playing back-to-back. They've been playing a lot of games on the road, and we excused them. And some of us were like, I hate to use that excuse. Well, this is why. Because they look like absolute ass. Disorganized ass. Hairy ass. If you never went to manscaped.com and you never used code FlyingFluffy and you didn't get 20% off, you didn't get the free shipping, and you didn't do a damn thing to groom yourself, and you just let your ass hair grow for decades upon decades, how it would look and how it would smell would match the exact product on the ice that the Florida Panthers have produced so far in the first 2 periods of the biggest game of the fucking year. And I know Barkov is out, and I know Bennett is out, but how come we don't have anybody else that can step up? I mean, it's not like Barkov carries the team, but it sure would be nice to have anybody who could win a face-off. Not like 50% of the face-offs. How about we get up to 5% of the face-offs? Can we win a frickin' draw in the offensive zone? Meanwhile, we blow this game, we're going to have 21 games left. There's only so many games left that we can lose. And none of them were against Buffalo, Detroit, Islanders, Penguins, or Capitals. There's just no more games that we can lose against these teams head-to-head. And now, best case scenario, we get this thing to overtime and maybe get 2 points. Huh? We're not showing any signs of being able to score. Craig Anderson, 41 years old, stacking the pads, beating Ryan Lomberg. Can't win a draw. Just, Let's move on to third period. First thing I'll say is everybody who came out for the stream tonight, a lot of extra people came out at the end. Appreciate everybody coming out, all the kind words, super chats especially. You guys keep me moving with this. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This is your channel. It's a fan-funded channel. As long as you guys want me to do it, I'll do it, even after I win Lotto. Because this fan base has been abused long enough. I wouldn't. I've quit in the past. I won't quit again. Now, if you've been watching the podcast, I put one out today. I made it public, but normally it's for members, Patreon supporters. For 2 weeks, I've been just deep diving into the schedule and our schedule and Buffalo's and Detroit's and Ottawa's and the Islanders and the Capitals and the Penguins, just going over and over and over again. These are the games. I've laid it out like a Indiana Jones map. And phase 1 was you can't lose any of the head-to-heads. Not you can lose this one, that one, none of them. Barring some miraculous, literally 8-game winning streak at this point. I'll say the same thing. Stu texted me. I'll say the same thing that lots of people saying in the chat. Season's over. Now you know I'm going to say that tonight and tomorrow with Stu. But y'all know I'll be back Monday, trying to find some way to dig us out of this. Now, for a minute, I'm going to take Barkov and Bennett being out of the game. Just put that over here. You got to give credit to Craig Anderson, who absolutely goalied us. I mean, Bob didn't play poorly, but that performance that Buffalo got from Anderson is what we needed from Bob tonight. You saw that early on. I said it in the first 5 minutes. this was going to have to be a game that Bob stole from us, and he couldn't do it. Now, in terms of the replacements for the guys that are on the ice, Luosterainen fit really, really nice last year as the 4C. And the rest of this season, he's been bounced around third line, second line, because out of necessity, etc., etc. He has some nice skills, but he's not good enough in the face-off. He's just not quite good enough. It's a shame, but at 4C, he kind of dominates. That's kind of where he's needed, even though he's not your typical grinding, tough-nosed, hard-nosed type of center. It worked with what we did last year. None of these criticisms are blaming any one player for what happened tonight. But without Barkov and Bennett, you've got Lundell and Luosterainen. Luosterainen, at best, from what I've seen, his ceiling is 3C. Now, let's get to Anton Lundell. Now, you all know I've been very vocal about feeling like Anton Lundell had the tools to be better than Barkov at some point. I'm not saying I'm exactly going to be wrong just yet, but what I am beginning to question is why can the Florida Panthers, basically throughout the entirety of their franchise history, why can we not develop players? We can draft a Barkov, Ekblad, Huberdeau, guys that pretty much can't miss, right? And throw them out there on the ice. But when you even get into those mid first round picks, what was Lundell, 12, if I'm remembering correctly? When you get to those mid first round picks, second round picks, third round picks, we just simply can't develop our players at all. And it's not just at the AHL level. We bring them up to the NHL, and they look like they're going to do something, and then, bam, smack up against a faceplant, up against this wall that this franchise has and their ability to develop players. Now, I know Anton Lundell is young. I told him last year to get into the gym and add some pounds. He gets knocked off the puck all day, and in case you haven't noticed, when you play center, Anton, you can't get knocked off the puck. It's your job to keep the puck. I was encouraged by how much he liked to shoot the puck as opposed to Barkov. That's what made me think he could be better. But now he's taking after Barkov, which defensively is a good idea, but offensively is not. Again, none of these criticisms are singularly blaming any one player for what happened tonight. It's a cumulative team effort. So, Lundell and Luosterainen replaced Barkov and Bennett. Now, I'm only going to touch on this part for a half a second. I talked about it during the stream. Barkov and Bennett, I'm not ready to completely throw them under the bus just yet because we don't know if they're wanting to play and it is Maurice that is not allowing them to play, or if they are just not able to gut it out or gut through whatever they have. We don't know. I suspect we won't find that out until maybe sometime during midsummer when a rumor pops out and it goes through the grapevine and comes in waves and finds its way back to the back rooms of DMs through Twitter, etc., where we have to say, don't tell anybody you didn't hear this from me, but this is what happened. Because, again, I'm not credentialed, and none of the credentialed guys are really going to ask those questions. Duke looked about as well as you could expect a guy who hasn't played all year to look, especially at the end of the game. He did everything he could to fire off a shot that was going to get through somehow miraculously pull us within 1 goal. Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, after the season he's had, it's hard to sit here and criticize the guy. He wasn't a problem tonight. He just didn't pick the team up, put it on his back, and will us to victory. But I suspect, he's not that kind of player. For Hagee, nice pass from Duke, got us the 1 goal. Fourth line was Colin White with Denisenko and Zach Delpe. I don't know how many minutes they had. It wasn't many. Denisenko had a breakaway, shot it right into the goalie's belly back when the game was young. Defensively, Gudis and Montour shot every time they could. Forsling did not have a fantastic game. Aaron Ekblad looks like he's feeling a little bit better. He's feeling well enough to try to make offensive plays that he's not skilled enough to make anymore. Or he's still too hurt to make them, but he's feeling good enough to give the effort. I will give Ekblad an A for effort. I will give him an A for effort tonight. Execution is a completely different story. There's not much we can do about that. Mahura looked like Mahura. The defense, we allowed 3 goals in a must-win playoff game at home. Now, last year, we win this game 6-3, and nobody notices the 3 goals that we gave up. It's a blip. We don't even blink at it. It's like, yeah, Bob gave up 3, whatever. But this system, this style of play demands that you get a Craig Anderson-like effort from your goaltender every night, or you don't win hockey games. So, looking forward a little bit. Looking forward, a couple of things. Lots of people in the chat, lots of people on the stream say, let's go ahead and sell. Now, in the emotion of the moment, I can't necessarily disagree with that. The problem with selling is we don't have players behind it in the AHL. It's not like we're selling Reinhardt and we're going to get some draft picks and Denisenko's going to come up and fill in for Reinhardt. You see what I'm saying? We're just going to sell Reinhardt for draft picks and then have to go into the offseason to try to replace him with what? Who? Yeah, there's guys available, but the team has already been halfway discombobulated and deconstructed anyway. If you look at it from last season, if you start selling pieces now, and again, I'm not saying I disagree, but you start selling pieces now, you're closing in on rebuild category instead of retool. You start looking forward next season, you're going to have a 34, 35-year-old goaltender. We don't know what's going on with Spencer Knight. We have a captain that can't stay healthy. We have a number one defenseman, our highest paid defenseman, can't stay healthy. We don't have any players on offense that's really the guy that is going to take over a game. Tkachuk on occasion can play like a bat out of hell. Duke, when healthy and ready to go, definitely is a nice piece. But if you start selling guys now, you start selling a Reinhardt now, what are you going to get for him? We gave up, Levi and a first, right? Can you get a first and a decent prospect? Sure. But my concern now becomes something I talked about on the podcast today, the one I made public today. Boston, Toronto, Tampa. With Boston's goaltending, they should be able to retool as they age and replace players. That top three, by all accounts tonight, we can agree Buffalo's a better team than the Panthers right now. And they're young. And that was with Craig Anderson. They were quicker to every puck. They looked a hell of a lot faster than us. Holy crap. It's a good team. If Detroit wins their games in hand that they have on the Panthers, they're ahead of us point-wise. If the Ottawa Senators win the games in hand that they have on us, they are ahead of the Florida Panthers points-wise. If everybody plays the even amount of games and the teams that are behind us in games in hand win their games in hand, the only thing keeping the Panthers out of last place at the current pace we are playing are the Montreal Canadiens, who, by the way, Tierney got a goal for the Canadiens tonight. So, not that Tierney's an answer, don't get me wrong. The point I'm making is that if we start selling now, if we sell, you just blow it up. If we're going to make the decision to sell, I think you are dangerously close to blowing it up and just completely starting from scratch with just a few guys as your core. Because we're not close to the top three, and Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa, again, all things being even, will be ahead of us points-wise. And the only team that I really feel comfortable saying that we're better than out of those three is Ottawa. Buffalo right now, in terms of product on the ice, and I know we didn't have Barkov and Bennett, but way faster. Every puck they played last night. We had 3 nights off, and that's the part that I'm disgusted about. That kind of an effort, 3 nights off. I know Barkov and Bennett are out, but there's still 12 guys out there. I didn't see anybody flying around. I didn't see anybody playing with reckless abandon like this was a playoff game, like this was the most important game of the year. I didn't see anybody out there save a couple of guys with the actual will to win. Duke, Ekblad, Montour, Gudis. I'm thinking, and I'm not saying Lomberg had a bad game, but even guys like Lomberg and Cousins, they were just out there. They were not flying around like this was a playoff game, like the way we needed them to be. Somebody to make up for the fact that we were out Barkov and Bennett. Nobody stepped up. A couple of guys had decent games, but nobody stood up in that locker room and said, I got this. I got this tonight. Nobody did. To be honest with you, the guy that I think gave the most effort, that did try to do that, is Ekblad, but he clearly is either diminished in skating, offensive ability, or still hurt. But I'll give him credit because there were multiple times he tried to make things happen on his own. He just couldn't do it. So, I don't know what I agree with. Let's put it this way. If I was in Zito's shoes right now, it's a tough decision for me to make because I don't know what's wrong with Spencer Knight. That's the hardest part for me right now in terms of knowing which direction to take this franchise. Is I don't know what's wrong with Spencer Knight. Is this a very short-term, one-time deal, or is this something that he's been dealing with for a couple of years and it's peaking and reaching a point where he needs help? The point there is that if you're going to rebuild, you would put Spencer Knight out there and you would trade Bob for whatever you could do to get out from underneath that contract. So I can't sit here and say for sure what I would do that way because I don't know what we have. I don't know what Spencer's situation is. In terms of the skaters, I hate to say it, but if somebody was going to take Ekblad and we were going to get a decent return for him, you'd do it. Gudis. If you're not re-signing him, just go ahead and do it. Reinhardt, if you're not, he's got the 1 year, if you're not going to be re-upping him and re-signing him, go ahead and do it. You keep Bennett, Barkov ain't going anywhere. Bennett, Barkov, Kachuk. You keep Duke because, jeez, he's on such a cheap contract. You'd have to be stupid. Yeah, you could get something for him, but he's still a young enough guy on a cheaper contract. He's somebody you build around. But I would go ahead and start consider. I certainly would field the phone calls. Let's put it that way. So the point there is, if Zito decided to go that route, I'm not going to sit here and say I blame him. I'm not going to sit here and say we should have seen what's going to happen next year because we look slow. We look really, really slow. After being so ridiculously fast last year, we look slow. Is it by design? Is it Maurice? Is it just the physicality of the way that these guys have been playing all year, catching up to them? Don't know, don't care. All I know is Buffalo played last night. We had 3 games off, and they were light years faster than us. And they play in the same division, and they're younger. And don't tell that team that they can't win, because they sure as hell are pretty freaking confident group right now. So, in closing to that, with Zito, if you don't think you have a core that's going to overcome all of these obstacles and go win you a cup with Maurice in this whole situation, I would start to consider blowing it up. I would. Now, of course, if we win a couple of games in a row, I'm going to change my mind on that. But the reality is that most likely what's going to happen is we're not going to sell, and we're going to come back next year with Maurice, and we're going to hear all of the excuses over the summer about the injuries and the issues that Barkov had with the illness and Spencer Knight, and we're going to hear a ton of excuses, and we'll have some room to pick up a couple of guys. And we'll probably roll into next season with the majority of this roster intact and roll it out there again. And then if you start getting into game 40 and game 50 next season and we are still barely a below 500 hockey team, I think then you might start to see some of the moves that look like a complete rebuild is on the way, or possibly a firing of Coach Maurice, or possibly Viola may just sweep everybody out the door. We don't know. We don't know. All right. Stu and I be back in the morning. This has been long enough. I don't have, my heart's not into it with the yelling and the screaming right now because I've expended a lot of energy these last few weeks, a lot of emotion, trying to draw a diagram of how this team could pull this off. And tonight was step one, and they just fell right off the cliff tonight. And I'm disappointed, and I'm heartbroken, and I'm upset, and I'm frustrated, and I'm furious. I'm all of it at the same time. All of it. So I'll close by saying the same thing I said at the beginning of the video. I appreciate all of you who come out for the live streams. We had 60, 70 people in by the end tonight. I know that doesn't sound like a lot for some people, but for us it's good. It's a nice crowd. Everybody giving super chats. I really, really appreciate it. Stu and I'll be back in the morning. And I don't know. I've been considering maybe starting to stream some other games. It's tough, man, because streaming other games is fun when the Panthers are still in it, and of course we're still technically in it. But this one hurt, man. This one hurt. Ain't no two ways about it. So appreciate all the support. I'll see you again in the morning.